To może do...
Сейчас снимешь,
Today I sent by rail one Germania 6 bicycle to your esteemed address. The toothed drive wheel appears to be out of alignment, with the result the chain constantly slips off. Would you be so kind as to repair it as soon as possible and return it to me? Yours faithfully, Václav Klement. This complaint was sent by the bookseller and cycling enthusiast Václav Klement from Mladá Boleslav to the company Cycler Naumann in 1894. The company, however, rejected the complaint. And that was how it all started. Klement would start repairing bikes himself, perhaps even assembling them from imported parts. And finally, maybe... Sometimes you also need a bit of good luck. In this case, it was Klement's encounter with an ingenious mechanic named Václav Laurin. And so in 1895, the firm Laurin and Klement was born. In the early days, they produced only bicycles. Then, in 1898, they turned their attention to motorcycles. Their first single-cylinder machine was presented in November 1899. Soon, Laurin and Klement's motorcycles, with their own electromagnetic ignition, were enjoying huge success, even in international races. It wasn't long before they produced their first car. In December 1905, the Laurin and Klement Voiturette Type A was presented in the press for the first time. For 3,600 crowns, the man in the street could buy a two-seater car with a two-cylinder 7-horsepower V engine. The Voiturette could reach speeds of up to 40 kilometers an hour. Compared to expensive imported vehicles, it was a real bargain. With the Voiturette, the plant was really onto something. Rapid development meant the company soon required further investment. This could only be achieved through shareholders. So in 1907, Laurin and Klement became a joint stock company. Now there was no stopping the company's growth. They began naming their vehicles according to letters of the alphabet. In 1907, production started on the new 4-cylinder model Laurin Klement F. By combining two 4-cylinder F-type engines, they came up with one of the world's first 8-cylinder engines, the FF. Vehicles bearing the Laurin and Klement insignia became popular the world over, even as far away as Japan. Unfortunately, the First World War interrupted this period of prosperity. As a result, exports declined significantly, and production was limited mainly to military purposes. After 1919, their best-selling vehicle was the Excelsior, a motor-driven plough designed to cultivate a landscape ravaged by war. This 9-meter monster with front tires over 2 meters in diameter and weighing around 6 tons could plough between 6 and 10 hectares of land a day. The Excelsior, as well as other agricultural machines, was certainly a notable achievement. But if Lorry and Clement were to break into the mass market, they had to offer a new type of motor car aimed at the middle classes, the 105, 110 and 120 series. And this was how those cars came to be manufactured in the 1920s. The whole process began at the construction office. Only when the design was complete in every detail could production begin. First, the chassis and engines were assembled. In those days, the bodywork was made of wood, so the factory had to employ many carpenters. At this stage, the vehicles were still not ready for the market, but intended only for test driving. Finally, the vehicles were painted, assembled, and prepared for sale. On the 20th of July 1925, Lauren and Clement joined forces with the Pilsen-based group Škoda. The main production site for manufacturing lorries and special vehicles was transferred to Pilsen, while Mlada Boleslav focused on assembling passenger cars and completing all bodywork. And Lowenstein said, "Look, here I am, handing over 220 million. And you know what that means. Either that Boleslav of yours will be a winner and we'll both strike gold, or we won't pull it off and we'll have to pack up and get out. Because 200 million is a big packet of money, and not even Škoda could take that in its stride." Just imagine. That's how I found my way into Mlada Boleslav as the plant director. You've just heard the voice of my father, Karol Hrdlička, the chief director of the Mlada Boleslav car company. He was responsible for introducing series or conveyor belt production for new vehicles in the new plant. It was a revolutionary act in the manufacturing of automobiles, and clearly not something that happened by accident. The objective was to allow Škoda to hit record sales as the best-selling car. This had to be achieved by lowering prices and increasing production. By 1929, Škoda was offering a full range of small, medium-sized and large vehicles. The greatest attention was given to the Škoda 645 and Škoda 860. The 3 digits in the model's name stood for the car's basic features. For instance, the 645 meant 6 cylinders and an output of 45 horsepower. The 1930s economic crisis forced the company to find ways of producing a more modest people's car. The launch of the new 420 Standard was set for the beginning of April 1933. It was the smallest Škoda so far, with a 4-cylinder 20 horsepower engine. It was followed by the Rapid, which was similar in construction. Real success, however, came with the Škoda 420 Popular. 6 intrepid Czechoslovak sportsmen had just completed a trip from Prague to Calcutta. In order to convince potential customers that the reasonable price of the Popular, at just 17,800 crowns, didn't mean skimping on quality, the company sponsored several young men on an overland trip to India in 1934. Their triumph over impassable terrain and the natural elements during the India expedition stands as a magnificent testament to the car's popularity. The journey to India had an amazing advertising effect. The Popular soon became the best-selling car in Czechoslovakia, and Škoda regained its place as the most successful manufacturer. The triumph of a strong will, the triumph of the constructor. Objective fulfilled.